Welcome to Pod Me If You Can. I'm David Farrell. Today on the show, it's Little Athens from 2005. Stars Michael Pena, DJ Qualls, and Jorge Garcia.
Pardon Me If You Can. Movie reviews.
Set in Athens, Arizona, this is a day in the life of a group of young people. Jimmy, played by John Patrick Amadori, has gambling debts and is trying to sell off his dead friend's drugs before anyone realizes he stole them. Jessica, played by Jill Ritchie, has a boyfriend who wants to kill her because he's caught an STD, meaning she's been cheating. Corey, DJ Qualls, and Pedro, Jorge Garcia, have been evicted, so they plot to steal a car, sell it, and get back into their apartment. And Heather, an EMT, thinks her cop boyfriend is cheating, and she confides in her best friend. They all head to the same party where their stories collide. So this is about a collection of 20-somethings, and there's a bit of text at the beginning of the film that seems to imply this is a true story, but I think it just means it was set in this small town, and it could have happened in any small town in America. Jill Ritchie's character Jessica annoyed me because she's the world's worst babysitter. She's been charged with looking after this child for the whole weekend. But guess what? She spends very little screen time with this child. Instead, she's back and forth with her abusive ex-boyfriend as they fight to see who cheated on who because he's caught an STD. She calls up this kid and is like, "Are you okay? Have you eaten?" And she's like, "I'm so hungry," on the phone. It's depressing. And as a parent, I hated all those scenes. So there's this character called Jimmy, and he's trying to sell drugs. He basically works like 6 jobs, as somebody casually points out. He's a pizza delivery guy, he's selling drugs on the side, he's trying to clean at the pool, and he's approached a little bit creepily by a fully grown man who's completely nude, who's his bookie, basically. And it's this uncomfortable dynamic between them because the older man is gay. And he's basically saying, "You still owe me all this money, Jimmy." And it feels a little bit like sexual favors are going to happen. So Jimmy is quite desperate to make money quickly and pay this guy back, I suppose, before anything transpires. So he goes round to his drug dealer friend's house and sees that he's dead. So he basically takes all the drugs. And the dead dealer's cousin is very suspicious and basically follows him all day, trying to see if he was the one that took the drugs. The thing about this movie is everybody is sitting in a car or driving in a car or sitting on a porch or standing around at work, and it's not very visually stimulating. Arizona's a seemingly hot enough place where people just sort of look for something to do. And there's this kind of disaffected youth thing happening because these 20-somethings all have no real direction. The characters DJ Qualls and Jorge Garcia play are basically criminals. They've been robbing houses before, and they've been in trouble before, and since they've just been evicted, they basically turn to crime to get out of their problem. They need 3 months' rent, and they need to quickly pay the guys so they can get into their house and get their stuff. The problem is everybody in this movie's solution is crime. If you're in trouble, crime will get you out of it. They try and do some interesting shots at the beginning of the film. There's heavily out-of-focus shots. And the reason that they did it was so you're forced to read the opening titles of cast and crew. And that's fine. As an independent film, it does make use of really good aerial shots where you're right above the actors and the cars and the characters doing their thing. But other than that, this isn't particularly interesting. Now, the character of Heather is an EMT, and she confides in her best female friend, played by Rachel Miner, who some people might know from Californication. She had a small part early in the show. And she confides in her, somebody's cheating, he's cheating, who's he cheating with? And the lazy thing for it to be is that the boyfriend, who's a cop, is cheating with the friend that she's confiding in, which is the case. So it was a bit supposed to be a twist, didn't really work at all. Sort of annoyingly, Jorge Garcia, because of the amount of exposure he's had on Lost, he's doing this dodgy kind of Mexican Spanishy accent, and it sounds so silly knowing, his background in Lost and knowing what he actually sounds like, One of the worst parts about this film, and it's an independent film, so they're making a film within their means. But one of the more annoying things is that characters go up to new characters and tell them the information that the audience already has. So you hear this exposition over and over, and you're waiting for the plot and the new characters to catch up. All the threads are tied together so loosely at this party at the end of the movie, and you do not care at all about these characters. And that's the real problem, is that they're not sympathetic characters, they have no moments that endear you towards them, and you're just waiting for the events of the film to unfold, and for something to happen, which it doesn't really. The big ending here is supposed to be this big emotional death, although there's quite a few problems with it. Not only do the characters not realize that the person is dead, the person that killed them doesn't realize that they've killed them. Nobody important even discovers the body, which is kind of like if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a noise? If nobody discovers this body, did they really die? Look, this is only the filmmaker's second movie, and it's hard to be super critical because he's assembled a cast, he's managed to put out a film, but the problem here is that you just kind of transition from day-to-day thing that everybody is doing. Nothing is particularly interesting, and these characters are not endearing. The soundtrack is alright, but the plot itself, the screenplay, is quite thin.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.